China's military activity in the Taiwan Strait has increased markedly recently, Kayhan writes. Western observers see this as Beijing's intention to conduct an operation against Taipei. All the more so now, as the opportune moment for this, in a situation when military conflicts have erupted in a number of regions of the world. Many people in the United States and on the island of Taiwan have begun to worry about the question, will Beijing dare to solve the Taiwan problem by force? The Ministry of Defense of the island China reported that the Chinese Navy has significantly increased its military presence near the island. At the beginning of last week, several warships crossed the middle line of the Taiwan Strait. Dozens of fighter jets of the Chinese aviation were recorded flying in the air. Does this mean that Beijing is preparing for a military attack on island China? On the one hand, the Russian-Ukrainian military conflict continues, with Kiev still continuing its unsuccessful attempts at a counter-offensive, but unable to achieve a decisive breakthrough. On the other hand, the Israeli apartheid regime has launched a punitive operation in Gaza and is busy essentially exterminating the defenseless population. In such a chaos of international conflicts, any development is possible. This is now worrying many, including analysts and Pentagon officials. They are undoubtedly concerned about the fate of their staunch ally in the Far East, whether they will be able to defend Taiwan from the encroachments of mainland China when their attention is distracted by developments in Ukraine or the confrontation in Palestine. Many people have doubts in this situation. The overseas Bolivar may not be able to bear a third ally. The Ministry of Defense of Taiwan recently reported that the command of the armed forces of Greater China sent 3 warships and 43 fighter jets to the waters near the island of Taiwan, and 37 fighter jets, again according to the island nation's defense ministry, crossed the airspace very close to the island, near the center line of the Taiwan Strait. The origins of the tensions go back a long way, to the years after World War II, when the Chinese People's Army proclaimed the formation of Greater Communist China. The Chinese authorities insisted that the island of Taiwan was also an integral part of the new Chinese state. However, with the support of the West, led by the United States, Taiwan declared its independence from Greater China and continues to assert its sovereignty today. The PRC leadership, based on the principle of the One China policy, considers the territory of Taiwan, as well as the waters around it, to be one of its provinces, and has repeatedly demanded that Western states, primarily the United States, refrain from official contacts with the island without Beijing's participation, refuse to supply Taiwan with arms, and generally refuse any other political and military support for Taiwanese separatism. Chinese Defense Ministry spokesman Tang Kefei has previously repeatedly said that the United States is defiantly ignoring all the problems of Greater China, interfering in its internal affairs, and deliberately raising tensions in the Taiwan Strait region. This, he said, is nothing short of turning the island of Taiwan into a powder keg, which will inevitably lead the island nation's population, essentially the same Chinese, into a maelstrom of disaster. We once again call on Washington to adhere to the One China principle, follow the 3 joint declarations that the United States itself has signed with the PRC, immediately stop supplying arms to Taiwan and not allow any military collusion with the Taiwanese government. The Chinese Defense Ministry said in a statement, China, some commentators say, is unlikely to initiate a forceful solution to the Taiwan issue in the near future, despite the seemingly favorable timing, when Washington's attention is diverted by other international crises. However, observers believe that any development is possible if the Taiwanese leadership behaves unwisely at the instigation from across the ocean. At the same time, the United States itself claims that China has already engaged in collusion against them, along with Russia and North Korea. According to the FBI chief, cybercriminals from the said 3 countries, with the financial support of the governments of these states, have deployed elaborate cyber operations to compromise U.S. government networks. FBI Chief Christopher Wray mentioned this in a statement prepared for a hearing before the Congressional Senate Homeland Security Committee. Over the past several years, we have already witnessed Russia, China, and the DPRK's unique cyber operations techniques on multiple occasions, particularly to interfere with our judicial investigations into crimes committed against the interests of the United States, the FBI director said.